And we are live. Welcome to another edition of DT Live. And give me just a second here, guys. Welcome. Make sure I have everything muted on my end. Okay. The stream health does not look great. I do have quite a few people using the network here at the house today. So, some kids. Some of my nieces and nephews, so the stream health may be a little iffy today. How is audio, though? I'm not monitoring the audio. You folks in the chat, give me a yay or a nay on the audio. Yep, so we've already got a few people hanging out in the chat. Yeah, audio is great. Cool. So, several of you guys were already hanging out in the YouTube chat. We had Bruno and Alex, Mitchell, Tom, Jessica, Mark, Tony. Install Gentoo. What a great name. Stacy's here. Used. Yeah. So this was a somewhat impromptu live stream. I wasn't for sure I was going to do anything today. I spent most of the day at some out of town at a family member's house for Easter. So I've been gone all day, got home, and I need to get to bed early because I actually have to work very early in the morning, but I was, I should do something on the channel. I was like, well, let's just do it live. I don't do too many of these live streams, so. Thanks for the super chat there, Grayson. Hi, from a Linux enthusiast. I can hear you just fine. I'm running Arch Linux. You forgot the by the way. So you got to throw by the way in there. You must be new to Arch. And those of you that are hanging out in the IRC chat channel, I know a few of you folks are over there. So those of you that want to check out the IRC channel, it's DistroTube over on the Freenode network. Yeah, I told the folks in the IRC chat that, they didn't know that they were going to be live on YouTube. So I told them, hey, you guys are about to be live on YouTube, so act accordingly. And immediately somebody had to make the joke. Time to break out the distro lube. Okay, that's going a little too far there. Yeah, OMG, it's 2DTs. Yeah. Not sure I like having the two camera angles, but I have them. Not sure if I like them on the same scene here. Alright, yeah. Derek, what's your thoughts about OS Tree and Fedora Silverblue? I don't know really anything about those. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't. I should check out Silverblue. I just haven't. Yeah, 3 monitors. Yeah, I've always had 3 monitors. You guys never get to. That's part of the reason why I went ahead and plugged in the second camera. I have the second camera available. It's a webcam. I don't plug it in that often, but many of you, especially if you're new to the channel, don't realize exactly my setup here. I have a 3-monitor system, but I only ever capture one desktop. I only capture the center monitor. It's the only one that I ever do anything on. So, if I do something here, this is... Matter of fact, let's go ahead and run C-Matrix in rainbow mode. So this is my second of 3 monitors that I typically capture when you guys see me do Linux installs, in a VM. It's usually the second monitor. Everything's the second monitor. Yeah, triple monitors. Yeah, once you go multi-monitor, you really can't go back. It's hard. I could never just use one monitor. By the way, I mentioned this was going to be a Ask DT, so feel free to ask some questions. Several of you already have, but before the chat even began, we had a question. DT, what's the meaning of life? Well, anybody that's ever watched Conan should know the answer to the meaning of life. It's to crush your enemies and see them driven before you and hear the lamentations of their women. So... Yeah, Emacs is now the #1 highest page hit ranking distribution in DistroWatch. Congratulations on the Emacs Linux team. Yeah, being #1 in DistroWatch means absolutely nothing, but I will congratulate the Emacs Linux team on making a fantastic Linux distribution, one of the best for sure. Garth, by the way, I use Arch. We know you do, Garth. So you've By the way, I use Arch so many times in the past. There's never any doubt. Yeah, the Farron OS dev. Also, by the way, I don't use Arch. Okay, I was about to say, if you use Arch, something's wrong. Yeah, what keyboard are you using? Nothing special. It is a Logitech keyboard. This is, let's see if it's got the model number anywhere on it. K350. It's a wireless Logitech keyboard. Came with a mouse. It's a wireless keyboard and mouse combination. I don't think it was terribly expensive. I bought it 5 years ago, maybe. I doubt I paid more than 30 or 40 bucks for it. It is a nice keyboard, though. I mean, it's not an expensive keyboard, but the reason I like this particular model of keyboard is, I don't know if you guys, if I hold it up to the camera, you can see it's got this little palm swell on it, which is very comfortable. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to get into a job in the IT field in Tallahassee, says Grayson. Oh, very cool. Do you have any non-86X machines? Nah, I used to. I used to have a closet full of just random junk, but I'm not one to collect stuff, really. I tend to throw stuff out. I wish I had some of the old stuff, but, you know. It creates a lot of clutter once you start collecting things. Well, maybe one day I'll need it, and the next thing you know, you run out of room. So typically I don't hold on to anything unless I'm actually using it. So yeah, Grayson, he has his certifications. Very nice. Any reason that we are looking at the back of your head? Why are you staring at the back of my head? Stare at the front. Crush your enemies. Microsoft, yes. The meaning of life is 42. Can I switch to Xorg in GNOME? I don't see why you couldn't. Ubuntu uses Xorg by default. I think that they have Wayland installed too, but the session you log into is actually an Xorg session by default. Matter of fact, I don't see why you couldn't do that on any distro. No one is forcing you to use Wayland, I don't think. I don't even think Fedora is forcing folks to use Wayland. I think you can still log into an X session. Yeah, the meaning of life is net profit. Yeah, well, that is a Microsoftism right there, isn't it? Derek, your thoughts about Intel's management engine, Libre Boot, Core Boot as an alternative? You guys keep asking me about Libre Boot and Core Boot, and I really haven't looked at them at all. I haven't even given it any consideration. I should do something on the channel with them at some point, because it's a question that does come up all the time. Not by the same person either. So, yeah, distro watch rating is indeed completely worthless. Yeah. The distro watch rankings have absolutely nothing to do with a distro's popularity. Zero. They don't reflect any real world stats about anything, about how many people is using the distro. I could create a distro tomorrow, and if I did some creative internet marketing, I could be #1 on Distro Watch within a month. Easy. With nobody really using my distro, maybe me and 3 of my buddies. So, Ubuntu probably has millions, maybe tens of millions of installs, especially if we count server installs. Ubuntu's the #1 distro. Emacs, you can add up Emacs and Mint and Elementary and whatever else is above Ubuntu in the distro watch rankings. You can add them all up. Matter of fact, you can add those that are above Ubuntu and everything below Ubuntu. Add them all up. They don't equal the number of installs that Ubuntu have. They just don't. So that right there should tell you the rankings are worthless. So, all right. So I missed the chat, a little bit of the chat here. Sorry, guys. What can you do on Linux while not on Windows? What can you do on Linux? I'm assuming you're asking what can you do on Linux that you can't do on Windows. Well, the first thing is privacy. Linux doesn't spy on you. So, I mean, that's As far as they're both operating systems, you run software on both. But fundamentally, how does Linux and Windows different? Or are they different? Read the GPL, that's GNU's General Public License. That's what a lot of Linux distributions are licensed under. That's what the kernel is licensed under, is the GPL. Go read that. It's not a very long document. Then go read the Microsoft EULA, the End User License Agreement for Windows 10. And then tell me which operating system you would prefer running after reading those two documents. How to make each monitor with unique X11 sessions. How to share a single monitor into Google Hangouts. I'm not exactly sure what you're wanting to do there. How to share a single monitor into Google Hangouts. So you have multi-monitors and you want to do a screen share, but you only want to share one monitor. I'm not a Hangouts user, if that's what you're asking, so I don't really know. The only time I ever use Hangouts is when somebody else is using Hangouts and wants me to join them on a Hangout, and I have to use Hangouts, but I never voluntarily, hey, let's all get on a Hangout, you know? Yeah, Eris, please grow a goatee to complete the Luke Smith look. Me and Luke really don't look that much alike, although I've told you guys, I've had people confuse me and Luke, like they'll send me messages or emails or whatever about videos I've made, and it's Luke Smith that made those videos. And that is actually a common occurrence with YouTubers, because when I made that comment on a video that one time making a joke, you know, other YouTubers said, yeah, I've had the same thing happen. I get mistaken for this guy or that guy or whatever. So especially casual people, you know, they don't really follow the channel. They maybe saw one video of mine 6 months ago, and then they see somebody else that's a bald-headed white guy, you know, 6 months later, and they think it's me, or they think it's Luke. You know, all bald-headed white guys kind of do look alike. You know. So, yeah, Forsaken, what do you do for a living? I work in retail. Gnome says, Manjaro is what Linux Mint is, but on Arch world. Yeah, I don't know about that. I guess you could make the comparison that Manjaro makes Arch easier and Linux Mint makes Ubuntu easier. I don't know. That's a strange comparison. I would say maybe compare Manjaro with Ubuntu, but I don't know. Linux Mint. Not sure I like that analogy. So, Yu says, I came across a video from Big Daddy today where he asked people to test, in this case, Sabian. People did that, and in the video, everybody shared their experience. Yes, I really wanted to join Big Daddy live this past Saturday, but I had to work that evening. I knew they were going to review Sabian, and I kind of expected, because of that crowd, they typically like Debian-based systems, Ubuntu-based systems, and they like easy to use distros. Not that Sabian is difficult, but I expected them to be rather harsh on Sabian. And they were, and I kind of hated that I wasn't there to give Sabian some love, because I really like Sabian. Matter of fact, I almost installed Sabian on this new machine I got a couple of weeks ago, my main production machine now. I very nearly installed Sabian on it, but I ended up going with Arco Linux. I'm just kind of comfortable in the Arch world right now, so I installed Arco. Let's see, Arch, Fedora, or Void, and why? I'm having trouble sticking to one. All good distros. Like there's no right or wrong answer to that. All solid. Obviously, I love Arch. Void really is an interesting project. I almost installed Void on this machine too when I got it. Fedora is great. Yeah. Try Libre boot on your laptop. Not a bad idea. I like that idea, Hardick. I need to write that one down. I've noticed Netrunner has a new release. I saw that too. Not sure if I'll check it out or not. Yeah, several of you commented about the distro watch rankings. Yeah, they're garbage. Distro watch rankings can be used to show the interest of the people. No, they can't. They represent nothing. All they represent is how many people found something through Google. And if you're thinking, well, that more people are searching for Emacs in Google, that's how that. Not necessarily. I've done videos on this about how why distro watch is garbage. You guys just do a search on my channel. Just search for distro watch. I've done a couple of videos about this where I actually talk you through and explain to you exactly what's going on with the Distro Watch page hit rankings and SEO in general, search engine result pages, things like that. For those of you that have, never tried to game the system like that, do any kind of internet marketing. But yeah, the Distro Watch rankings, I'm not kidding. They don't mean anything. When I said I could create a distro tomorrow and be #1 in the Distro Watch rankings in a month, that's not a lie. And nobody would be interested in my distro. So, yeah. So what is your job? Another job. Yeah, I just mentioned that. Retail. You guys always ask about my profession. A lot of you guys assume I'm in some kind of IT field, or I'm a sysadmin, or do something with computers. I do not work with computers at all. Do not have any kind of job that involves Linux at all, or computers in general. So I just do this in my spare time. This is my hobby. So yeah. Oh, DT, go ahead and make that distro. Probably not. I don't want to be a support network for anybody. Yeah, Robo, thanks for the super chat. Can you say anti-disestablishmentarianism? I guess I could. I don't. Thanks for the super chat, though. Yeah, Big Pod. How you doing, Big Pod? DT, unless you use Deepin. Oh, yeah. Are we talking about Deepin the OS, I'm assuming? The Chinese Deepin? A lot of people are overly harsh on Deepin, just because it happens to be Chinese. Yeah, doesn't Canonical send info to Amazon? If you're worried about that, though, you can turn it off. But, I mean, yeah, they're sending info to Amazon. Amazon is obviously sending you ads, so they know a little bit about, I guess, about what you searched for. It's like web analytics, though. I mean, if you've ever used a website ever, it's that kind of information that's being sent, if any. If that bothers you, though, just uninstall it. I mean, you can turn the Amazon thing off or uninstall that particular. It's just a web app anyway. It opens Firefox to Amazon. Mainly, the big thing about that is when you go to Amazon, it places a cookie on your browser. That's really all Canonical wants, is you to open Firefox on Amazon so that cookie gets placed on your browser. So if you happen to buy anything from Amazon in the next couple of days, Canonical will make a few cents off of it. What are your thoughts about window managers under Wayland? Have you ever... No, I haven't ever used any window managers under Wayland. Until 2 weeks ago, I've never owned any other graphics cards other than NVIDIA. Wayland and NVIDIA is a no-go. Now that I have the AMD card, I might play around with Wayland. Garth, he likes Arch, Systemd free. I'm assuming you're running Artix. I'm just taking a guess there, Garth. I do like Artix, though. I used Artix with the Run-Edited system. Tried it out just very briefly, and I really liked it. Derek, what's your opinion about BSD as an alternative to Linux? It's not an alternative to Linux on the desktop, and that's primarily what I am, as a desktop Linux user. On the server, yeah, BSD is just fine. But just because of hardware support, because of the kernel, it's light years behind Linux. Light years. Like, trying to run BSD on your desktop as a daily driver is like trying to run Linux 15 years ago. That's how far behind it is. Yeah, Long March. I like your accent. Appreciate that. If Xubuntu had an X in front of it because it uses XFCE, and Kubuntu has K in front of it because of KDE, then why isn't Ubuntu called Gubuntu because it's GNOME? Yeah. How can people confuse you with Luke Smith? I have no idea. I do not talk about memes at all on this channel. I have never called anybody a boomer. So, I've never mentioned 4chan. Or if I have, I haven't mentioned it in a positive way. And what GPU are you using? And soft to have 3 monitors. Oh, what GPU am I using? I am using a Radeon 7. Most decent graphics card, so it doesn't have to be a high-end card like a Radeon 7, most have multiple ports, 3 to 4 ports typically on them. My NVIDIA 1060 had 4 ports on it, so I could connect up to 4 monitors in it. The Radeon 7 has 4 ports on it. I could connect 4 monitors if I really wanted to. Had 3 display ports and 1 HDMI connection on the Radeon 7. As far as software, you don't have to run any special software for the 3 monitors. You just need to plug in 3 monitors to your graphics card. These days with Linux. A few years back, you might have had to play around with some stuff. I remember 10 years ago when I first got into Linux and I was playing around with some multi-monitor stuff. Sometimes you'd plug in that second monitor, and instead of getting, a desktop spread across 2 monitors, you might get the mirrored effect. I never get that anymore, though. Now I just plug in a monitor and it just works. Yeah, so I want to do that with Awesome Window Manager. Yeah, you can do that with, and that's the beauty of these multi-monitor systems, having 3 different monitors. Makes sense for tiling window managers because each monitor can be a workspace, or each monitor can be a set of workspaces. So that's the beauty of it. Yeah, Google wants me and my mom to switch over to an application called Hangouts. Don't do it. Hey, Luke, why do you have 2 YouTube channels? Yeah. I do occasionally check out some of Luke's stuff, mostly his Linux-related stuff. A lot of the other stuff he does, I'm not that interested in. But because he probably spends more time not talking about Linux on his channel, I'm surprised he doesn't actually have multiple channels. That way you get the one that's focused on Linux, and then you get that other channel that's focused on memes, and then the other one that's focused on linguistics. He could run 3 very successful YouTube channels separately if he wanted to. Yeah, if it becomes a job, it can't be a hobby and be fun. Yeah, what becomes a job? I'm not sure if that was directed toward me or not. Yeah, you should try out Salient. I should. Might check it out in a VM. Probably won't install it on actual hardware. I don't have my IC dock installed in this machine just yet. I have a 6-bay IC dock with some drives. I just haven't put it in this machine yet. Yeah, and then another question about BSD as a Linux alternative, not on the desktop. I know a lot of you guys are interested in BSD. I mean, if you want to play around with it on a test drive or extra machine, or, you got a spare laptop, go ahead. Try it in a VM. But I'm telling you right now, if you're running Linux and are happy you're running Arch or Ubuntu or Fedora on your main machine and it's working perfectly, trust me, you're not going to install any of the BSDs and, wow, everything just works. You're going to have some problems. Yeah, I've watched your video on Snap. Do you think distros should support this out of the box? I don't see why not. There's no reason not to. All you have to do is have snapd installed on the system, and then have the daemon running in the background. So, think of all the other processes running in the background out of the box on most distros. It's just another one. Yeah, DistroWatch is only useful as a comprehensive list of distros. Yeah, actually, DistroWatch, the distro ranking list is really kind of useless. What DistroWatch is really useful for, though, is the news, the distro releases. That's where it's very useful. Yeah, Derek has had a bad experience with Ghost BSD. Yeah, that was pretty bad. And TrueOS, man, TrueOS. I only tried TrueOS in a VM, and I would never even attempt to put that on one of my real machines. That thing was hot garbage. Yeah, Emacs is #1 on DistroWatch this week, finally. Yes, we've mentioned that a few times now. Congrats. Emacs Linux is the most popular Linux distribution on the planet, guys. No, not really. And I love Emacs. I install Emacs on a lot of machines, like family members' machines. It's a great distro. The #1 ranking doesn't mean anything. Yeah, Richard Stallman can talk all day about Amazon and the info it collects. Yes, he can. Richard Stallman loves to talk about Amazon and Facebook and Microsoft and Google. If you guys want to check out some of Stallman's writings, though, you check out his personal website, stallman.org. He will tell you what is wrong with every corporation out there. Yeah, BSD doesn't have a Steam OS officially supported. No, it doesn't. There are hacks out there to get Steam working on BSD, but again, BSD was never meant to be like a desktop operating system. BSD is more of a server operating system. Some people are trying to turn it into a desktop operating system, but it's not really there just yet. Yeah, Big Pod. I really don't like Luke Smith's channel. Oh, I actually enjoy some of his content. Not all of it, but I don't enjoy anybody's content. All of it. You take some and you throw the rest away. For example, one of my least favorite YouTube channels, historically, I've never really liked Linus Tech Tips. There are very few videos of his I've ever watched and thought, oh, that was fun, that was entertaining, that was educational. Almost never. But the last couple of videos they did on Linus Tech Tips that involved Linux were some of the best videos that they've ever done on that channel. And one of them, Linus, wasn't even on it, so maybe that was part of the reason. But any of you guys, if you're subscribed to Linus Tech Tips, check out the recent videos he did involving Linux. He did one about setting up a gaming on Linux. Well, he didn't do it, but two guys that work for him did it, and it's fantastic. And then they did another video about doing a GPU pass-through and installing a Hackintosh, basically, in a VM on top of Manjaro. And that was really interesting. Linus was in that video, but he had the other guy, the smart guy, the bigger guy, explaining to us how all that's done. Well, kind of explaining to it. It's very technical to set up a VM or, any kind of hypervisor like that and then do GPU pass-through. It's kind of more detailed than something you'd get on a Linus Tech Tip video typically. I missed some of the chat here, guys. Sorry, it skipped ahead on me. What router do you have? I don't know the model number. It's in a different room. It's a Linksys, though. I do know Linksys makes it. Sorry, guys. I'm going to try to skip ahead before I get too far behind. Yeah, Paul says, question for you, DT. I seem to remember you were not a fan of Flatpaks and Snaps in their beginning. What changed your mind? I was never not a fan of Flatpaks and Snaps. If I ever spoke badly about them, I'm not sure. I've always kind of used them. I'm not sure on that, Paul. You'd have to refresh my memory. What was my complaint about them? Yeah, of course, Big Pod says Microsoft isn't bad. Lamer, the number one Linux in the world is the one that you love. Yeah. People often ask me that question I hate. What is the best Linux distro? I just have to shake my head anytime somebody asks something like that. I don't know. What are you doing? What are you using this distro for? And what's your experience level? Jonathan, DT, I like the Taking Into Account series. Thank you, Jonathan. All right. Brian Lunduke's channel. Have you watched it? I've seen a lot of Brian Lunduke over the years. I have actually been watching Brian Lunduke forever. I was watching Brian Lunduke, like, when I first got into Linux on the desktop, back in 2008. So we're talking 11, 12 years ago now, somewhere around there. And I was in the early days of the Linux Action Show that he was doing with Chris Fisher. And I watched that thing religiously every week. So, big fan of Brian Lunduke back then. Still watch all of his stuff. Well, not all of his stuff, but some of his stuff now. Brian likes to focus a lot on nostalgia. A lot of retro tech, retro networking. And some of that stuff really doesn't interest me as much as it interests Brian. I don't know. And me and Brian, I think, are the same age. I think maybe a year apart. I think he just celebrated his 40th birthday a month or two ago, because I remember he mentioned it on one of his videos. I'll be 42 later this year, and like some of the retro tech he talks about, like I don't even remember it being that interesting. So, I lived through that time, and I'm like, yeah. Yeah, what's your opinion on Google's Stadia? I think, I want to say I think it would fail, but because it's Google, it'll probably be successful. But I hate the idea of live streaming games. I just think it's such a challenge, you know. Been watching a few of your videos where you touch on i3. What window manager do you recommend for users to switch to? Only been familiar with desktop environments. So I'm assuming what window manager, as far as a tiling window manager, if all you've ever used is desktop environments. People ask this all the time. My go-to answer is awesome window manager. Awesome out of the box without you having to really do any kind of major configuration. It's very usable. Where some tiling window managers, you have to start writing a config right away before you can even really use it. Xmonad, my favorite tiling window manager, possibly, would be a horrible tiling window manager for a new user. Just horrible. Once you know what you're doing, though, it's fantastic. Qtile would be very easy for a new user as well. Well, not very easy, but pretty easy. Yeah, Linus doesn't write his own text for like a couple of years now. Huh. Are there any tech YouTubers that don't follow the trend of RGB gadgets? Yeah, that does seem to be the trend. I don't really get all that stuff either. Everybody wants the latest whiz-bang stuff. Killbox, Brian Lunduke is the man. Yeah. No, Brian Lunduke seems to get a lot of criticism. Yeah. I guess maybe because of the styles of his videos. You either love it or you hate it. There's no middle ground. Just have to realize much of what he is doing is more entertainment. Like if you go to watch one of his shows, you know, expecting to learn something or get a tutorial on anything, that's usually not what's going on. But many people love that kind of show, that style of show that he does, which is why he's so successful. Different strokes for different folks, though. You don't have to like Brian Lunduke. If you don't like his videos, don't watch them. You know, same thing with my videos. I get people send me messages all the time. Dude, you suck. Okay. Why'd you take the time to message me? So you just move on, right? Yeah, now that you use mainly Arch and derivatives, do you miss Debian? Sometimes, although, I mean, there's so many Debian-based distros, it's not like I never come across family members' computers. I just mentioned, I install a lot of Emacs on family members' computers these days because Emacs just tends to work. So I get to play with those, obviously, when I do the installs. Same thing with Ubuntu. I do a bunch of Ubuntu installs as well on other people's machines. And I have extra machines and extra drives. I mean, I still play with Debian, you know. Still tinker with it occasionally. Though these days, if I were going to like put Debian on one of my machines to actually live in it, I'd probably do Debian SID these days. Probably try Debian Unstable. I've tried it in the past, played around with it a little bit in the past. And I found Debian Unstable to be quite unstable. Yeah. Let's see. Why did you switch to Linux at first? Okay. So I switched to Linux at first because I was running Windows XP and the machine was taken over by ransomware. So it's one of these ransomware hacks where they've taken over your machine, locked it down. You can't do anything. Can't go to website. You can't run your antivirus. You know, they've got all that stuff disabled. All you get is, you know, this little pop-up. Hey, we have the fix for your machine. If you pay us whatever amount of money they wanted me to pay them, we'll give you your machine back. Of course, they don't say it like that. They say it like, hey, we notice there's a virus on your system. We'll take care of it. You know, we'll install this antivirus if you pay us this money, but it's the people that took over my machine anyway. It's a scam. And of course, I could have just wiped the machine out, reinstalled Windows or whatever, but I knew what Linux was at the time. I had run Linux on web servers probably, since like the late 90s. I knew Linux existed, and I had been hearing of people that were using Linux as a desktop operating system by around 2008, which was when this happened, is Ubuntu was really going strong by then, and you were hearing people talk about Ubuntu. Ubuntu was really blowing up at the time. That was, like extreme popularity of Ubuntu at that time. Ubuntu with GNOME 2 and the Compiz whiz-bang features and all that, and it was great. So I was like, you know what? I'm done with Windows. I formatted the drive, installed Ubuntu. That was it. Never went back to Windows. Been on Linux ever since. Never had a install of Windows on anything since then. Don't miss it. Cut it out cold turkey. So, let's see. Have you saw Winsent's channel? It's real pro Vim user. I have not. There are quite a few good channels though if you want some Vim tutorials though, but I'll definitely make a note of that. Yeah, I've been watching Brian Lunduke since the Jupiter Broadcasting days. Yeah, Jupiter Broadcasting is still around. Yeah. I don't catch much of the Jupiter Broadcasting stuff anymore. I used to watch all of it. These days, I just don't have a lot of time to check out everybody's stuff. Occasionally, I'll watch some of Linux Unplugged. Isn't that the one they're still doing? Or what's it called now? I think they changed the name of it again. How's the Threadripper going? It is going great. I love the Threadripper. So if you guys saw my 1904 video the other day, you saw me run 6 VMs at one time, giving each VM 4 gigs of RAM, giving each VM 2 threads. So I gave the 6 VMs 24 threads and still had, 2 threads, 12 threads, and then still had 12 threads going for the actual host machine. And did all this while recording in OBS. And the machine never stuttered at all. Had H-top going. The CPU was never struggling. It never really came close to pegging out at 100%. Matter of fact, maybe 30, 40%. Of course, that was recording locally. If I'd have been streaming, it'd have pushed it a little more. Yeah, thanks for the super chat. What's that? Zan, X-A-N. I hope I pronounced that name right. I switched back to Linux after 9 years with Mac OS. It's such a good feeling, but Arch is a bit too much for me, I think. What do you think about OpenSUSE? Thanks for the good content. OpenSUSE is pretty good for a beginner kind of distro. Like if you're kind of new to Linux, OpenSUSE, I think you'll be comfortable with it. I think OpenSUSE actually is a solid choice. Like if you weren't going to go with one of the many different Ubuntu's or various spin-offs of Ubuntu, OpenSUSE is, if you want to go RPM based, is probably a good spot to land there. Let's see. Do I have to use ports in Gentoo when I'm done installing it? Yeah, you probably need to. It is a source-based distribution, so you're going to have to build everything from source in Gentoo. There's no pre-built binaries. So you're going to have to go ahead and the make config or whatever. You're going to have to set up all the use flags. If Serge was in the chat, he'd tell you everything you need to do. But yeah, you're going to love compiling. It's going to be great. Really. Ubiquity should any Ubuntu derivative as far as Ubiquity is the installer for Ubuntu and all of its derivatives except Lubuntu. Lubuntu in 1904 switched to Calamares. And Lubuntu is not going to be the only one to make that switch. Eventually, probably all of them are going to switch to Calamares. Ubiquity, Canonical is really not putting much into it anymore. They're not developing it. And because Lubuntu just switched to Calamares and it seems to be working fine for them, probably the rest of the flavors will do the same. Let's see. The IRC chat, it's not really blowing up today. I'm just checking any interesting things here. It looks like somebody's asking for help with one of their projects. Yeah, Lunduke has made videos on his channel about how he hates HTTPS. Yeah, the secure protocol there. He took a lot of flack for that. That's one of the videos Brian made that people often bring up when they want to talk bad about Brian. It's that particular video. You know, when somebody shares an opinion, even if you may or may not agree with it. I'm not saying I particularly agree with it either, but like it doesn't anger me. Like whatever. Yeah, do you have rented space like AWS S3? I do. That is where I store all my video for storage because it's just so much storage space. Economically, I have to store it with Amazon with the S3 buckets. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense cost-wise. Yeah, have you ever used an application launcher made for a different desktop environment you're running now? No. As far as application launchers, I've never been big into them. Other than dmenu and Rofi. You guys, if you followed my channel at all, you know what dmenu and Rofi are. But like your standard graphical application launchers like what Synapse and ULauncher and NumPy and all those other ones, they don't interest me at all because they don't really offer you anything. I mean, they look good. They kind of pretty to look at, I guess, to launch a program using one of those, but why couldn't I just type super on the keyboard to open whatever menu is in that particular desktop environment, type a couple of letters, hit enter? That's typically the way to go. Yeah, have you ever had a file, ISO, in Dolphin refuse to be deleted and replace itself every time you send it to the trash? It is self-replicating. No, I've never actually had that happen. For one thing, I don't use Dolphin. I don't use KDE. I've never been a KDE user. I used KDE for 30 days at one point early in this channel's history just because KDE is not my thing. I just wanted to see if I could do it. I could do it, but other than that, no, I'm not a KDE user, not a Dolphin user. I've never had a file, though, that refused to be deleted, and you say it keeps sending itself. So it's probably just refusing to be deleted. It's not going anywhere. It's not self-replicating itself. It's not like you're deleting it and then it just magically reappears. It's just refusing to be deleted. Check your permissions. For example, check and make sure that the root user does not own that particular ISO. Because Dolphin does not run as root. It runs as your home user. So I would check there. If you think about how much energy that goes to waste if we had high-end gaming PCs at home. Yeah, but is gaming wasted energy? I think crypto mining is more wasted energy. Yeah, it's cool that you have a chat room opened in a terminal. You like the IRC chat channel there? That's IRSSI, IRSSI. I've talked about it on the channel many times in the past. It's a terminal IRC client. Pretty easy to use. If you have any problems with it, just pull my configs down from GitLab. I think my IRC configs are over there. Maybe. If not, you'll find a million different IRC configs all over the internet. Just grab something off of GitHub or GitLab. Let's see. Skipped ahead on me, the chat. Sorry, guys. I might have missed quite a bit of stuff. Yes, I did. I missed a lot of stuff. Sorry. I'm way behind on the chat. I'll try to speed things up. Yeah, Richard, I don't have a question. Just say hello. Thanks. Thanks, Richard. I appreciate that. What was your reason for distro hopping from Manjaro? You seem comfortable in Manjaro. Because when I got this machine delivered, I didn't have the Manjaro ISO handy. I did have an Arco ISO handy. Actually, I did have Manjaro's ISO, but it didn't want to install that particular USB drive. I had Manjaro i3 edition, and it didn't want to boot into the live environment. And I didn't investigate the matter too much, but I had a USB stick with Arco on it. Both are Arch-based distros. One's as good as the other. I just went with Arco. I'm not much of a distro snob, really. I mean, I could run anything and be happy, as long as I can get to the shell and do what I need to do. I'm going to skip ahead, guys. I missed a lot of chat. I do apologize. Yeah, Brian has a rather abrasive personality in the over-the-top happy way. You don't like over-the-top happy? Okay. Lunduk banned me on Twitter because I criticize Israel. Stopped watching. Okay. Why were you criticizing Israel on Twitter to a guy that's Jewish and makes you... I don't know. I'm not saying that he should have banned you, but I don't know. You guys need to stay off Twitter. I've told you guys that Twitter is not the place to be anyway. Go over to Mastodon. So, any of you guys that have asked a question in like the last 5 minutes, I do apologize. There's so many questions I missed. I've missed probably at least 100 of the comments in the YouTube chat because of... Chris, thank you. Happy Easter. Smash the like button. I appreciate that, Chris. Let me scroll back. I'm going to try to scroll back and just answer a few of these. Anything that just happens to jump out at me. I'm sorry if I don't catch what you asked here. Yeah, Peter, are you willing to give KDE Plasma another chance? Now that you won't get tearing on it. Yeah, that's true. I'm not running NVIDIA. I'd give it a chance, but it's not like the screen tearing is the issue. I don't like the workflow. I can use it, though. I mean, I proved that I could use it. I didn't, like, hate my time in KDE. Although when I was done with that 30 days, I was really happy to be back in OpenBox at the time. Yeah, you can get Dolphin run as root, but you have to add an add-on. Yes, there is a Dolphin package, actually, I think in the AUR, that would get me root if I wanted to install this hacked version of Dolphin. OpenSUSE, somebody mentioned OpenSUSE, they hack Dolphin in such a way that you can still do root on OpenSUSE. Yeah, DT, the delay on the IRC is huge. The delay? Well, actually, it's not necessarily the IRC. There is a delay as far as the stream. What you guys are witnessing, you won't actually see until like 30 seconds later, if that makes sense. There's like a 30-second lag here on YouTube with the settings I've got set up. So it's not IRC. It's actually both the YouTube chat, IRC, everything. Like if I ask you guys a question right now, you didn't hear it until like 30 seconds later. And then if you respond, I got to wait, 30 seconds. It's a little bit of a delay. Slightly annoying, but it's nothing too bad. Yeah, DT, do you like Artix Linux? Well, we actually mentioned Artix earlier because one of the guys in the chat, Garth, loves Artix Linux. I like Artix Linux. It's Arch. It's just Arch without systemd. I actually like systemd, so I can use systemd, but Artix is fine too with OpenRC or with Runit. They all work. I'm not a system. I'm not a knit system snob either. Whatever a knit system a distro ships with works for me. Have I checked out MeWe? I have not. I have not checked out MeWe. I really don't know too much about it. I've had a couple of people mention it to me. I'm happy with Mastodon, though. Mastodon has been fantastic. As far as other, maybe open source platforms, as far as social networking, there's a bunch of options out there. I mean, I could probably find a dozen different options as far as like these decentralized open source social networks out there. Most of them are not going to get off the ground, though. They're never going to see any kind of widespread adoption. Mastodon, though, is really interesting because Mastodon has actually become fairly popular. Like, people are actually using Mastodon, where a lot of these other services, nobody's using. Diaspora's been around for a while, too. Probably as long or longer than Mastodon, but it's never seen widespread adoption, partly because it's tougher to install Diaspora on a server, where Mastodon is pretty easy to set up your own Mastodon instance if you want. So I've been told. I've never actually tried to install either one of them. Also, just the whole setup with Mastodon. Now, you got various different instances of Mastodon, but you can follow anybody on any instance. So it's not like everybody's really relegated to their own Mastodon. I mean, you can use whatever Mastodon instance you want and still follow anybody anywhere. Or not. Yeah, there's nothing going on Mastodon. It's good if you like cat pictures. That's social networking, though. I mean, that's... What are you going to do? You're always going to have cat pictures. But you're right. There's a ton of people posting pictures of their cat, in particular, dogs as well, puppies. People love puppies. Yeah. The stream is a time machine. Stream health, though, looks like it's a little better than when I started the stream, so... Yeah, Discord is absolutely proprietary. That is correct. That was username install Gentoo. Yeah, Discord is proprietary garbage. I use Discord, though. It is an Electron app. It is slow. But the kids love it. I mean, Discord's great, though, for in-game chatting with people while you're doing like a live gaming stream. I mean, that's why people use it. You know, you get a group of people together to join some multiplayer game, and you guys all join a Discord channel, a voice Discord channel, and you can chat. That's the great thing about Discord. Yeah, is GNOME 3 bloat? Is that a serious question? Are you asking me that? I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. DT, do you like Google? Come on, guys. Is this the first DT video you guys have ever seen? I mean, yeah, I do avoid Google, if that's the question. Obviously, I'm on YouTube. That's usually the next response is, okay, why are you on YouTube? Well, I make videos. If you make videos and you don't post them to YouTube, no one's going to watch them. Like, there is no other alternative that will get eyeballs on video. Nothing. If I did live gaming streams, Twitch would be an option. That's about it. Facebook is becoming increasingly an option, but that's not an option for me. I mean, I hate Google, but damn sure will not catch me on Facebook, guys. Never. Not happening. There is a way to make the chat not delay. Yeah, I can change the settings. There's live streaming settings. There's 3 different levels, and depending on which one you set, the delay will be hardly anything. The middle one, which is what I typically go with, is like the 20 to 30 second delay, and then there's one it's even longer. It's like a minute or longer for the delay. Why do you like Systemd? I want to hear your thoughts. It works. That's my only thoughts. It works. Works like Runit works in Void. It works like OpenRC does in Gentoo. Works like Upstart used to work in Ubuntu. SysVinit and Debian. The machine boots up. I mean, that's my thoughts on that. Yeah, how bad is Linux without Systemd? Linux is not bad without system. I mean, the ones that don't use Systemd, there are a few distros out there that don't use Systemd. Artix, we just mentioned. Gentoo. Gentoo's never going to switch to Systemd. Devuan is a Debian fork that doesn't use Systemd. And those are good distros. I haven't tried Devuan, but Artix and Gentoo, I mean, Gentoo's been around forever. And Artix hasn't been around forever, but most people that have tried it would agree Artix is pretty solid for an Arch-based distro. Is there... I was reading a question and then the chat skipped ahead. I'll never find that question I started reading. Whoever that was about to ask me that, sorry. Back to Peter. DT and others, do you have any idea why often Chromium starts up terribly slow after a while? Many people complain about it on the forums, but I don't see anyone presenting a solution. I don't use Chromium, Peter. I have nothing to offer you there. I've been a Firefox user from the beginning, meaning from the beginning of Firefox. And then I was Netscape before that. I was on Netscape when it first came out. Like, when did Netscape Navigator arrive on the scene? Like 1990, 1990. Never used any other browsers. Well, I say I've obviously opened up other browsers, but especially for web development, you got to check out how things look at Internet Explorer and Google Chrome. But yeah, I don't use them. Let's see. DistroTube on Big Daddy Linux Liver? What? Yeah, I haven't been on Biddle in a while. I've had this nasty run here lately of I've been working every Saturday night for over a month now, it seems. So typically, like last night, I was able to get there and watch like the last 15-20 minutes of it. But I'm not able to get there when they do like the distro review. So I really wanted to be there last night because they were doing Sabian, and I love Sabian. But I knew I wasn't going to be there for that portion of the show, so I didn't even bother. Let's see, KDE is missing the soul. Other than that, it is great. KDE, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's missing soul. I think KDE has a personality to it. It's just not my thing. Have I tried the new Ghost BSD? I have not. I should check it out, though. Give it another shot. Let's see. DT, even outside the Linux Club, I see more and more people tell me to get off of Facebook. Yes, more and more people are jumping ship off of Facebook because of the privacy scandals. Not everybody. Some people are just not ever going to wise up, but a lot of people are seriously looking at other alternatives now. Really, we just need one or two more big Facebook scandals, and I think you'll start to see some movement on that. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! You're going to bring back the Obscure Window Manager project. I've thought about doing some more window managers other than the ones I've already covered. I've got some stuff planned as far as, especially covering some tiling window managers I haven't covered yet. Just got to get around to them. Also, I got to decide exactly what kind of videos I want to make with those. Some of them may be a little more involved, might require me a little more research into them, use these window managers for, a few days or maybe even a couple of weeks at least before I make the video. Let's see. Do you watch Chris Titus Tech? I sometimes catch some of Chris's shows. Again, like most other, I'm subscribed to probably 100 other Linux and tech related YouTubers. I can't watch everybody. I can't watch everybody's stuff. I catch bits and pieces when I can. Matter of fact, I'll be honest, I'm subscribed to like 100 channels. Some of them, I almost never check out anything they do. I just don't have time. So since I'm limited on time, there's a few channels, like when they put out something, I always go check out. Most of you guys are probably like that. You're probably subscribed to, 50, 100 things, but there's really only about a half dozen. Like when that person puts out something, I got to check that out. Even if a dozen other people also put out a video that day, there's that one or two that as soon as they put out something, you got to go check out. But I do check out a lot of Chris's stuff. Not all of it, but some of it. He does some stuff with Windows. Obviously, Windows doesn't interest me. He does some stuff with gaming. But, once he gets into like the Linux desktop and Linux server stuff, yeah, that I often catch those. Let's see. I missed some of the chat. Sorry, guys. I am struggling today. Firefox is my main browser, yeah. But Chromium comes in handy for Google Maps. If you use Google services, yeah. That's why you're tied to it, unfortunately. Yeah. DT, have you ever tried Telegram? I have not. And a lot of people tell me to get on Telegram. I should join the Big Daddy and Destination Linux Telegram group. So many of you guys hang out there. Maybe I should. I don't know. Telegram is not a free and open source program. And I know some of you guys are going to be scratching your head. Well, why should that matter? But it kind of matters. I mean, am I really missing anything using Telegram? Maybe it's because I've never used Telegram. See, what do you think about Pop! OS 1904? Haven't looked at it yet. DT, you missed me complain about it then. About Sabian, I'm assuming. Yeah, everybody complained about Sabian, I'm assuming. That's why I wanted to be there. I knew that not a single person on that panel probably was going to look favorably on Sabian. And I like it. It's one of my favorite distros. I'm actually subscribed to their Patreon. I support those guys, even though I don't actually run Sabian. I do have Sabian installed on an extra drive in my IC dock, which isn't plugged into this new machine yet. And I often like to check out the new releases when they have it. I'll cover Sabian a lot on the channel. It's Netscape on Windows 95. Yeah, Netscape. That was a great browser. The old Netscape Navigator. Let's see. Facebook is overrated. I would agree with that. DT, do you use Midnight Commander? No, I use VIFM. VIFM. I've done a few videos on that the last couple of months. Let's see. Yeah, Netscape was founded in 94. Really? It was founded that late? I was thinking it appeared a few years earlier than that, but I guess you're right. Netscape was 1994. Okay. The Lynx web browser came out in 1991. Just saying. Yeah, Telegram requires your phone number for your information, yeah. Most proprietary apps like that, though, are going to, they're going to require some kind of contact information when you sign up. Yeah, Telegram is not censored. Are we going free as in Richard Stallman free? Or free as in free? Yeah, the free that Richard Stallman, in the English language, the free Richard Stallman is talking about, of course, would be better described as libre rather than free. When most people say free, they're talking about cost, monetary cost. So, let's see. Yeah, they censor people and remove things that trolls don't like. Yeah, but most platforms are going to have some kind of censorship. That's why Mastodon makes a lot of sense, because it's decentralized, it's federated. If you don't like the instance you're on, you don't like their rules, guess what? Go set up your own Mastodon server and set up your own rules. Or no rules at all. Yeah, DT, first thing I've caught live. Question, where do you see the Linux desktop in 10 years? With all this talk of Android, Google being the future, as Linus says. Well, I think Linus is partly right. I think Google Chromebooks are increasingly becoming a dominant factor in the market. I think Chrome OS will be the alternative OS to Windows for most people. I think it'll eventually overtake Mac OS. Mac OS has always been kind of like that other OS. I see that's where Google is going. As far as on the desktop, I don't think desktop operating systems are really the future anyway. Obviously, for people that do real work, programming, dev work, kind of work I do, multimedia stuff, yeah, you have to have a real desktop. But many people nowadays just get by with mobile devices. Because of that, Android, right? So... yeah, Grayson says VIFM is cool. Very cool. Uberzug is not working for me. Frowny face. And VIFM? If it's not working for you, my configs are on GitLab. Just copy exactly what I did. Just pull down my configs. I promise you they work. Unless Uberzug itself is just not working on your system. Like you couldn't get Uberzug installed. I can't help you with that. Obviously, I would check the output in the terminal. It's probably missing some kind of dependency, some kind of library. Thanks for the super chat there, Tony. Yeah, the equation 24 times 2 plus 25x minus 47 ax minus 2 equals negative 8x minus 3 minus 53 ax minus 2 is true for all values of x does not equal to a, where a is a constant. What is the value of a? Happy Easter. 0. I'm going with it like it's the right answer, too. Trust me on that. Alright, in Link's browser, when I set up a script to log in automatically in a hotspot, when confirms, it opens a temp text file in Firefox. In Windows, it doesn't do that. Anyone solve that? When you set up a script to log in automatically in a hotspot, then when confirms, it then opens a temp text file in Firefox. I have not actually had that happen to me. But then again, I don't often take my laptop anywhere, and typically I'm not trying to use links. Like if I'm at the Starbucks or something, you know. I should check that out for you. If I remember to do that at some point, go to like a public Wi-Fi spot and try out links and see what happens. Yeah, in Link's browser. Okay, and this is the same question. Okay. Yeah, sorry I couldn't help you with that one. Yeah, Stacy says, DT, that's true. I got it right. And there you go. Let's see. There is a really nice discussion on IRC. Let's check it out. Let's see. What kind of discussion you guys got going? I joined in the middle of a war, apparently. Is there an argument going on? Could be. Knowing this crowd here, especially folks like Big Pod and Ansem, I'm sure they're having a heated discussion about something. Yeah. Hi, DT. All right, guys. Thanks. Yeah, you're on camera. Let's see. I missed some of the chat again. Sorry, guys. What is my top 5 terminal emulators? Let's see. The ones that I have used and quite like. Xterm, URXVT, Termite, ST. LXterm. It's not bad. Terminator's not bad. We'll do a top 6. Let's see. I can't have a smartphone far away from my vision because I'm nearsighted. Okay. Is Gopher the wave of the future? No, but it is a blast from the past. I'm not saying we couldn't make Gopher the wave of the future, though, with enough people, enough support. What's your favorite blockchain subcompiler for cloud interfacing? I'll have to get back to you on that one. Given that the internet is a train wreck, Chromebooks are a non-starter. For people like us, but not for your typical computer user. They love the train wreck that is the internet. If Facebook made Facebook OS, people would use it. Instead of Chromebooks, they made Facebooks. Like the actual... My IP got blocked on IRC. Boo. Yeah, you got blocked? Were you using like private internet access or something like that? Freenode, sometimes you'll get tripped up on Freenode like that. Yeah, Ben doesn't use IRC. That surprises me, Ben. As a Gentoo user, I would expect you to hang out on the Gentoo IRC channel a lot. I sometimes hang out on the Gentoo channel. They always have a really good discussion going on over there. All right, Michael. Appreciate the super chat, by the way. You think there will soon be more Linux support for glorious RGB hardware. I don't think so, to be honest. So all this RGB hardware, you have to have drivers for it. Somebody's got to make drivers for it. It's got to be the people that built the thing. They have to see money in it. And we don't represent enough of the market share. Now, if they open source the drivers, we'd take care of that ourselves, but they're not going to do that. So, yeah, Buster, are you growing a mustache? I have not shaved in a few days. I don't know. I'll probably shave in a couple of days. Just being lazy. Takes so long to shave your head, too. And once I got down here, I was like, whatever. Yeah, you joke, but wait 5 to 10 years and there will be a Facebook OS. Yeah, I hope not. But we could be right on that. Yeah, Minnie says, awesome channel. Thank you, Minnie. Good luck with the hacking, Mr. GFY. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. GFY loves hacking, penetration testing. Yeah, Ben says, IRC puts you to sleep. Okay. You're just not in the right channels. Yeah, I never used IRC. Hex says that the host name is wrong. I'm assuming you're talking about HexChat. You're using HexChat and it says your host name is wrong. Okay. You can connect using a VPN, using the directions that are on the Freenode website. Yeah, so I bet Mr. GFY, knowing him, he's probably using a VPN. And yeah, Freenode you'll get caught up in some of their filters. But you can connect. You have to, they've got an instruction page. I think I pasted it in my IRC channel one time. I don't have the link handy right now, though. And the reason Freenode does that, why is Freenode doing that, is because of the spammers and the trolls. It gets out of hand so fast that they would ruin IRC. I mean, they would completely wreck it if Freenode didn't have that kind of stuff in place. So, yeah, it sucks if you're using a VPN, but you kind of have to understand why Freenode kind of has to do that. Sucks you got to spend a few minutes, though, to get that workaround, though. Yeah, which Arch distro do you use? Well, as of the last 2 weeks, I am on Arco. So, let's see. Yeah, of course, I'm in floating mode. So, let's do a quick Neo fetch. There you go. There's Arco. Arco Linux B, that is the Awesome Edition, their minimal Awesome Window Manager Edition. And you can see the other specs. I'm in the Qtile Window Manager today, which I've kind of been staying in Qtile the last few days, just because I have it set up and it works. Other than that, my new machine, say the AMD Threadripper 1920X, Radeon 7, 32 gigs of RAM. Currently have almost 1,400 packages installed, which a lot of people would probably be surprised about for somebody like me. Be like, isn't that bloated? Yeah, but keep in mind I have 6 window managers installed. 6 window managers written in probably 6 different programming languages. So I've got all of the libraries for Lua and Haskell and every Python. It's, it's just... It looks more bloated than it is. Alright, so I missed some of the chat. Sorry, guys. Vince, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Thanks for helping me get into tiling window managers. My pleasure, Vince. Once you go tiling, you can't go back to floating, really. You get used to that particular workflow, it's hard to go back. Yeah. Mr. GFY says he was able to get Tor to work with IRC, and they got ticked off, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I could imagine a state-sponsored Linux distro from China. Yeah, there are some state-sponsored Linux distros out there. I don't know if there's a official Chinese one, but there are some state-sponsored Linux distros. Yeah, do I have any experience with Emacs? No, I don't. People often ask me, because I do a lot of stuff with Vim on the channel here lately. I've made a few videos regarding Vim. Hey, when are you going to take a look at Emacs? Well, I'd have to learn Emacs, right? I can't just make a video about Emacs and I haven't actually used it. I mean, I'd have to spend some time with it. It would be not like later this evening I'm going to make a video about Emacs. It doesn't work that way. I either know what Emacs is about or I don't. Also, I'm not really sure I would enjoy using Emacs because Emacs is not like Vim. Vim is really a text editor, and that's what I want with a text editor. I want my text editor to be a text editor. Emacs, you really don't have a text editor when you first start Emacs. You kind of have to write something in eLisp. You got to configure it. Basically, you have to create your text editor. And really, Emacs is more of like an operating system. It's more like almost a desktop environment. Where Vim's a text editor. Of course, that's historically, the old joke people often say, Emacs is a great operating system. It's just missing a decent text editor. Is what people used to say. Yeah, Peter, if all the governments would use Linux and finance it, then they would spend a lot less on IT. That's a fact. Yeah, absolutely. I can agree with that. Let's see. FreeBSD is cool. Still more of a nerd thing. Yeah. You got to be kind of hardcore to use FreeBSD. And you got to, again, expect some things not to work. It's not going to like all your hardware. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, sometimes you just might be out of luck other than move on to something else. Yeah, Mr. GFY says Google uses Gentoo heavily. Yep. Chrome OS uses a Gentoo kernel. True story. The Linux Nerd, I dare you to live in Haiku, DT. Now, Haiku, I could live in it. I did a video on Haiku a couple of months ago. Installed it in a VM. In that video, I also had it on a laptop. I installed it on physical hardware, and you know what? Haiku worked. Wi-Fi worked out of the box in Haiku. Had a proper web browser and file manager. LibreOffice was available on Haiku. Blender was available on Haiku. Now, I say those as examples. That's about all that's available on Haiku. I couldn't do what I do on this channel in Haiku. I could live in Haiku if I didn't make videos and stream on YouTube and things like that. I'm not going to have OBS. I'm not going to have Kdenlive and GIMP and, But for many people's use case, Haiku, you could make it work. DT, send a hello to Redafussel's video. I don't know who that. Okay. Ronaldo de Azevedo to Hanato Garcia. Okay. Yeah. Hi to all those guys. I don't know. I'm assuming they're Brazilian people making hopefully Linux videos. If they are, awesome. Yeah, DT, Emacs is the system D of text editors. Okay. Yeah, Super Cape. Thanks for the super chat from Super Cape. He says, would you review Spacemacs one day? It got Vim hotkeys. Oh yeah, if all my Vim key bindings work, yeah, we could do Spacemacs. But I'm not about to try to learn a completely different set of key bindings and a completely different workflow. If Spacemacs is basically Emacs configured to work exactly like Vim, yeah, I could check that out. But at the same time, what's the point? If it's configured to work exactly like Vim, why wouldn't I just use Vim? I guess so I could have all the extra stuff that comes with running Emacs, I'm assuming. Like Emacs has its own shell. Emacs has its own tiling window manager. Emacs has games and email, and I think it has its own Git client, and again, I've never personally used it, but I've seen videos, people using it. Yeah, Sleepy says he loves the modes function in i3. Yeah, like the key binding mode function where you press a key binding and then you have a different set of key bindings in that mode than you normally do. That was my favorite function in i3. To be honest. Yeah, that was really the highlight of i3 for me. Other than that, i3, it's a tiling window manager. You've seen one, you've seen them all. Checking out IRC just for a second. Let's see. And still folks arguing. Let's see. What people consider, quote, hacking. Yeah, you know what? That is an interesting question there, even though he's probably not asking me or the chat here. What do people consider hacking? Well, hacking is really kind of an old school term. I mean, what people think of hacking these days, they think of movies, right? Hollywood hacking, meaning you're hacking, the defense system of NORAD and you're holding the moon ransom for $1 billion or whatever people think of hackers. People had a different definition of what a hacker was back in the 60s and 70s. Think of when Richard Stallman was coming up in the 70s and 80s and coming up with, the GNU, Emacs and Herd and all that. They were hacking, right? But they weren't trying to maliciously take over people's machines. They're just writing code. That was hacking. Hacking to them especially was taking proprietary code and fixing the problems with it. And that was Richard Stallman's hacking. These days, because of Hollywood, people have this twisted view of what hacking is. Yeah, Grayson says, I know Bash and Python. Yeah, well, if you know Bash and Python, script away, buddy. You're good to go. You can do pretty much anything you want. Yeah, Linux is also still a nerd thing. Yeah, it is. You gotta be a nerd to use Linux. I won't lie. Lars is showing some haiku love. Yep. Chris says, how about giving BOS a look? Well, BOS has been dead forever. Haiku was a BOS compatible operating system, but it wasn't BOS. Yeah, DT, you're not considering the meme value. I'm not a meme kind of guy. I didn't grow up in that meme sort of world, so when people talk about memes, I tune out. There are Vim games too, that is true. There are some Vim games, you're right. Yes, I have more questions about the operating system I'm using at the moment. This is Arco Linux. What distro has the better graphical user interface? Well, any desktop environment can be installed on any Linux distro, so it's not distro specific, but if you're asking what desktop environment has the best user interface, that's personal preference. That's not a question anybody could answer. So it's somewhat of a ridiculous question. You're basically asking, hey, what's your favorite desktop environment? Or what's the best desktop environment out there? I don't know. What's the best car out there? What's the best movie? Yeah, hacking is like lockpicking. You are not supposed to get entry that way, but you do it anyway. Yeah. Ben says, that's why I uploaded my configs to GitHub, so I don't have to re-rice my GUI. Yes. Yeah, if you're not putting all your dot files on GitHub or GitLab, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, DT, what was your first desktop environment? Windows. As far as in Linux, the first thing I ever installed on a desktop was Ubuntu with the GNOME 2 desktop. Hated it. Moved away from it almost immediately. I wouldn't even really say I lived in GNOME 2. Found OpenBox very quickly after that. OpenBox, and then shortly after that I found Xmonad. Yeah, I was one of those kind of new Linux users. I jumped into the deep end of the pool kind of right away. So. Then moved around to some other stuff, along with other tiling window manager. I tried Awesome years ago for a little while. Then went back to OpenBox. Then I found Qtile. Then I went back to Xmonad, and then I went back to OpenBox. It just... Never used the big desktop environments, any of them, ever. Other than Unity. Had Unity on one of my laptops forever and loved it. Let's see. I missed some of the chat. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Vince says, nerds will rule the world. Case in point, Zuckerberg and Bezos and Musk. Yeah, but they're not our kind of nerds. Yeah. DT, are you a hipster? I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, to be honest, Adam. I'd have to go to the Urban Dictionary and look that up before I get an answer. Yeah. Siberian says, I like Fluxbox, but OpenBox will do. Yeah. All those box-style window managers are kind of the same. JWM is very similar to. Which window manager would you recommend for a beginner? Are we talking tiling window managers? If we're talking tiling window managers, we mentioned this early in the stream, Awesome is a good first one to start with. Like a floating window manager, OpenBox is really the only one. I just go with OpenBox. I have a million videos on OpenBox as well. So check out my OpenBox videos. Yeah, Zuckerberg is not even a nerd, says Peter. Really? Zuckerberg is pretty nerdy. And the dude went to MIT and, he programs and, he built Facebook with a lot of help. He counts as a nerd in my book. Let's see. Excuse me, guys, here. Yeah. Talking about nerds, the IRC chat channel. There's some nerds in there. Let's go back to the YouTube chat. By the way, I did pick me up a beer this evening. I felt like relaxing with a beer. I haven't had this one in quite some time, but it is a good one. Kirin Ichiban. I don't know if you guys can pick that up in the camera. Let's see. Anyway, Kirin Ichiban. Japanese. Some talk about TinyCore here in the YouTube chat. Yeah, TinyCore is interesting if you like something really small, fast, for a live environment. And Big Pod says, DT, I'm just having fun with a guy here. Yeah, talking about the IRC chat here. Big Pod is, I guess, having a heated discussion with somebody. What do you think about all the System D controversy? I don't think really much of any of that. It doesn't interest me. If you don't like System D, you don't have to use it. Arguing about something you don't have to use is so pointless. Like, I would love to have that kind of free time where I just argue all day about, something I don't have to use. And there's some people that every time System D is brought up, they got to start this flame war over on Reddit or wherever. Like, we get it. You hate it. Use Gentoo. Use Void. I mean, use something that doesn't use System D. Problem solved. Yeah. Yeah, do you think that Windows is dying? Yeah, I think Microsoft thinks Windows in its current state is dying. Obviously, there will be some pivoting, they'll maybe have to transition a little bit, some other kind of business model. But the Windows that we've known for the last 40 years, yeah, it's dying. It's never going to be the same. Yeah, DT, I'm just turning his words around, and he is going for loops. Yeah, it can be confusing sometimes with you, Big Pod. We know how you love to mess with people. And Windows 10 is the last Windows kernel. Yeah, plus also the rotten video games or dumpster fires. Yeah. Do you think that Microsoft will purchase Canonical in the future? I think it would make sense if they wanted to purchase a Linux company. Canonical could be had for a cheap price. Not that Microsoft needs a cheap price. Microsoft has tons of money. Last I heard, Microsoft was valued somewhere around $700 billion. Microsoft's got all kinds of money. But they could buy Canonical for a pretty good price. And I think they would easily make their money back. Because Canonical, they're already putting out pretty solid products, right? In the server market, Microsoft will make a ton of money. Yeah, Big Pod, he says he's a conspiracy theory guy, and I'm just picking at his word. Yeah. I don't like getting into this kind of stuff too much on the channel, but I will say those of you that enjoy good conspiracy theories, shame on you. Like, I don't understand you people at all. Do I really want to go into more detail than that? I better not. Well, we might have to table that for a different discussion. I may do a live stream one night just about conspiracy theories and why you have to be a complete idiot to even buy into them. Like, literally a complete idiot. Like, you have to suspend all reality. Like, you have to... But I think a lot of people with these conspiracy theories, so many people are wrapped up in this idea that they have to belong to this special club, that only them and a handful of other people have the secret information that the rest of us either don't know about or we're just too dumb to figure out. But you guys have got it all figured out. You know. That's conspiracy theories. You just want to belong to this special club. And it doesn't matter if the idea is your special club or spouting or complete BS. I remember years ago there was a movie that a lot of people loved. It was all about conspiracy theories. You guys remember the movie Zeitgeist? It's been some time. This is an older movie, but the Zeitgeist movie was about how Christianity mainly was a fraud, and how the fact that it was a fraud, maybe it was tied into Jews running all the banks of the world and the financial system of the world, and then it segued into basically Bush was behind 9/11. Yes, all of that was in a movie, and they tied all of that together like it made sense. Like, I'm watching this thing. And these people that do these conspiracy theories are so clever, because when you're watching it, like they start off with like the history of Christianity and how the Christian religion came to be, how it evolved from various pagan religions. And a lot of this stuff is pretty factual. Like, you can go read about it. It makes sense. But it's like, okay, I'm going to throw this fact out to you. And I'm going to throw this fact out to you. This fact. I'm not connecting any of the dots ever. And then I jump into world banking and how the World Bank is evil, and it's got nothing to do with what you were just talking about, but there were some good facts in that. And it gets to the point where I tell you enough stuff where, okay, I know that's factually accurate, and then at the end of it, Bush was behind 9/11, and you're like, wait, what? Well, if everything else in this movie he told me I think is true, well, that has to be true too. That's how they you get set up with these conspiracy theory documentaries. That's how they set you up. But I remember like being angry. I was actually physically angry watching that movie because I could tell exactly what they were doing, because I've seen it before, as far as how these kind of conspiracy theory nuts set you up. So if you don't know the formula they use, many people fell for it. They thought this was like the greatest movie ever. Like, this had some secret knowledge in it, and they didn't know why everybody in the world didn't know about this stuff before this movie came out. And I scratch my head. I'm just Yeah, Dark One says, yeah, DT, are you talking about the Loose Change documentary? I was talking about Zeitgeist. This is the one I was talking about. Yeah. Yeah, Grayson says he watched the Zeitgeist documentary a couple of years ago. Yeah. Now Zeitgeist came out, at least a decade ago. It's been around a while. And again, there's some good factual information in the movie. Like, if you pick out 2 minutes at a time, like they're spitting some facts at it, but none of this connects in any way. Like, there's basically 3 sections of this movie, and they don't even really try to connect them. It's just the fact that we put it all in a movie, they have to be connected in some way, is what they're thinking. People, oh yeah. Yeah, so Jeep Gator says, hey DT, great show. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate that. Anyway, I didn't want to get into the conspiracy theory thing. I could actually go much deeper into conspiracy theories, why they don't make sense. For example, if we're going to get deep into like critical thinking here, but critical thinking used to be a skill. Like when I was a kid, people would talk about not being a complete idiot. These days, nobody ever talks about how to think critically, and being a complete idiot, sometimes it's looked favorably on. Like, you're cool to all your friends, the stupider you act. So critical thinking basically is determining whether something is true, whether it makes sense, is logical, reasonable. So when somebody makes a statement and it's not falsifiable, you shouldn't even take it seriously. What does that mean? A statement has to be falsifiable. It means if you make a statement about something, there has to be a way I can actually prove that statement to be false. There has to be some test I could put it to either prove it to be false, or it's not even worth my time. And people often make statements that there's no way to prove that they're false. Like, Bush is behind 9/11. How do you prove that's false? Because the minute you try to, you give them facts, Bush was, and Bush wasn't involved in this and that, they'll be like, well, it was a conspiracy, man. They changed everything. They're hiding all the, they keep moving the goalposts, so you could never prove them wrong on this. So why try? If you've ever felt yourself going down one of those paths where you're spouting some kind of crazy conspiracy theory, and there's no way anybody could ever really test it out and prove whether it's false or not, I can tell you're wasting your time. It's like, at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, there's a giant spaghetti monster. I'm going to throw that out there. You can't prove it's false, so it has to be true, right? Come on. If there's no conceivable way you could falsify that, then the statement I've just made is pointless, right? It's a pointless statement. And that's what all these conspiracy theories are. Pointless statements. Yeah, critical thinking after a few beers is the best. This is Vince, yeah. Is penguin meat legal where you live? And have you ever eaten penguin meat? I don't know if it's legal or not, Stan. There are no penguins, though, in the U.S. At least not in the continental U.S. Now, there is obviously other territories that the U.S. owns around the world. But here in the lower 48 states, we don't have penguins, so if it was available on a menu somewhere, I would try it, though. I like trying different things. Will I be looking at Pop! OS? I probably will, because I know people are interested in Pop! OS 1904. I probably will take a look at it. Yeah. They're all in zoos, but they frown on you eating them. Yeah. Hey, DT. It used to be on the roadmap that 1904 would be Wayland by default. Why do you think this has not been done? Because it's not ready. That's why it's not done. Yeah. I can't believe DT would eat Tux. Oh, yeah. I've eaten just about everything that walks, crawls, slithers, swims. Yeah, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Yeah. I wouldn't even say, I mean, I guess extraordinary claims do require extraordinary evidence. But again, if you make a statement that's not falsifiable, meaning there's no way you could ever prove it to be false, you really didn't make a statement. You're just spouting some nonsense. So, yeah, DT would eat human. I guess if I had to survive, like those Donner Party guys, if it was freeze to death or, eat my partner, I'd make it back. Yeah, I love Wayland, but it does not work with NVIDIA, so I don't use it on my main PC, but I'm switching to AMD when I upgrade. Yeah. Now that I have the AMD card, yeah. Yeah, if a statement cannot be falsifiable, it is nonsense. That's not falsifiable. Yeah, that's why the guy making claims needs to present evidence, not the other way around. Big Pod, regarding the conspiracy theory guys, I can tell you right now, you will never get any evidence out of them. Their evidence is they're right, and the evidence to disprove them, the reason it doesn't exist is because it's all a cover-up. That's the only answer you ever get. It's all a cover-up. Somebody covered it up. It's all a government conspiracy. Would I call quantum physics a conspiracy? No, I wouldn't call. Yeah. Big Pod says sadly he knows that about the conspiracy theories, and their lack of evidence. If you get one to present real evidence, you've done something. Yeah, Zeitgeist was a performance piece and not meant to be taken seriously by the makers. Yeah, whether the guy who made the movie took it seriously or not, the fact is people watched it and took it seriously. And again, that just blows my mind. Yeah, Stan, I'm still waiting for my belly rub, DT. Don't forget about it. I don't know who you are, Stan. Sorry. Yeah, I think they should make Wayland default if your GPU plays nicely with it. Yeah, but even if you use an AMD card, Wayland's still not the best option. Yeah, I say word quantum is a conspiracy called everything we don't understand yet is quantum nowadays. Okay. Like scientific hypotheses, they're not conspiracies. Because the difference is they expect to eventually be able to prove or disprove these things. If that makes sense. Like the people that put these hypotheses forward, like they're not against somebody disproving it. If it's not right, it's not right. And this, scientists are okay with that. They'll just come up with a better theory. So. And scientists typically kind of know how critical thinking works, so they know to avoid some of the traps I talked about with the conspiracy theory kind of thinking. Yeah, quantum AI blockchain. No. I use Alpha wireless cards. Try those out, says Mr. GFY. Yeah, anything with the word quantum as the first word, yeah, you think is a conspiracy. I get you now, Big Pod, yeah. And one day I'll get an AMD card, try undervolting the card. I don't want to overdo it for stability, though. DT, what's a hippopotamus? Urban Dictionary is all I can tell you on that. Just look it up, buddy. Budgie is the future of GNOME. No, GNOME is the future of GNOME, but Budgie really should have been the future of GNOME. Yeah, Wayland still glitches and X-Wayland to me. Somebody in the IRC. So I guess I will just use Xorg. There's no reason not to use Xorg. Until Wayland actually works. I mean, I want Wayland to work, but as long as it's not working as good as Xorg, yeah, just use Xorg. It's not like Xorg is not still under development and doesn't work. So. Yeah, Dark One says, I installed TrueOS on my machine after I had an ulcer dealing with OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. Hey, Dark One, how is TrueOS running for you? And do you like the Lumina desktop? Because I can tell you I hated that thing. Let's see. I just got a notification on my Android device here. Let's see. Well, I guess Total OS today just put a video up. I don't know if he's streaming this evening or not. Let's see, DT, do you like messing with any software-defined radio? It's not something I've done. DT, what are your thoughts on Linux versus Windows in terms of gaming? Well, in terms of gaming, you're going to have, obviously, all your games work on Windows where they won't on Linux. Like, if you're a serious gamer, you probably have to run Windows. If you're just a casual gamer, though, Linux is perfectly okay. We have over 5,000 games available on Steam now. We're including Proton, of course. Yeah, this isn't the DT I thought it was, but anyway. DT, what is Naruto? I don't know what stream you guys stumbled into, but some of you guys are speaking a different language this evening. Yeah, Doom 2016. I should try that one out. I haven't actually purchased Doom 2016, but I should. Yeah, amazing that Edge is going the way of Chromium soon. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they just didn't stick with their own web engine, Microsoft. At least they were doing something different, you know. Okay, and somebody named Anime Topic is shouting Naruto and Sasuke. I'm not a Japanophile, okay? So I'm not into anime. Not into Japanese professional wrestling, and you know, I think it's cool that some of you guys love that stuff, but yeah, Mr. GFY says he got some Steel Reserve. Is that cheap malt liquor? Come on, Mr. GFY, you got to do better than that. I drank a couple of beers too much. That's why I'm so joking with people and conspiracy theories. And Sim Gunther is laughing at Japanophile. Yep. A lot of people are, though. A lot of people love the Japanese culture. Like Americans, for some reason. A lot of them are fascinated by the Japanese culture. Yeah, Linux and anime desktops are the norm, though. That's true. On Unix porn, that's the norm, for sure. Yeah, DT, you will love Doom 2016. Oh, I'm sure I will. I love first-person shooters anyway, and I love the old Doom franchise that I played back in the day. I mean, I played the first 3 Dooms, so... And, what was the other one that came after the Doom franchise? Quake. I played the Quake games. Heretic. Yes. I wish I knew someone who had a Schlitz malt liquor still in the fridge. You know, that's not a... You guys have got to do better. Yeah, Big Pod. DT, want to one day play some RTS? I'm assuming real-time strategy? Or yeah, we'll do some gaming, Big Pod. DT, what was your very first time trying Linux? I couldn't tell you. Yu-Gi-Oh! It's been so long. I mean, I was using it on like web servers 20 years ago. As far as on the desktop, like the first time I installed it on a machine and tried it out, I just remember installing it and it worked. So, I mean, those were the Ubuntus. Yeah, Vietnamese cartoons are my favorite. It says install Gentoo. Yeah, Unix porn is anime and i3. Yeah, it's all Arch, i3, anime, C Matrix, NCM, CPCP. I don't even know if that was the actual name of that particular music player, but you just some random letters, right? That's the name of that player. Unreal Tournament, yeah, Unreal Tournament was great back in the day. Yeah, again, my distro is Arco Linux. Yeah, Mitchell says he's leaving. He's going for a walk. Yeah, I'm actually about to jump off too. We've been going nearly 2 hours now. So, when was the last time you used a proprietary OS on a desktop? Windows XP. Been a long time. DT, what are your thoughts on the iPhone 10? Never owned an iPhone. I've never been part of that Mac and Apple world. Never had an iTunes account. Never owned any of their hardware. I want no part of it. These iDevices that people are putting all over their house. I'm not tied into any of that, and I don't ever plan on being, so. Yeah, so DT, I have a problem with VirtualBox. I'm trying Ubuntu 1904 in full screen. Mouse is not functioning as it should be. So, did you tick on 3D acceleration? Make sure you have that ticked on. I'm assuming you're trying GNOME. Make sure also when you logged in, did you log in to the standard Xorg session? Make sure you logged in using X. Also, check your mouse settings in VirtualBox. Here, I'll pull up mine real quick. We'll do something educational today. So, did I not type that right? There we go. So here are my settings here for my VM of Ubuntu 1904. Let's see. General, advanced, description. Okay, none of that. Right here. So pointing device is USB tablet is what I have it set to. Let's see if that's what yours is set to. Motherboard, enable IOs on, and a hardware clock and UTC time. That shouldn't matter. Main thing is display. 3D acceleration needs to be ticked on. I don't know. I mean, it worked fine for me. So check those settings. Those are the ones. I missed some of the chat while I was playing in VirtualBox. Sorry, guys. Yeah, just use QEMU. Yeah, you could use QEMU. Yeah, DT, just wondering if you would be interested in doing a video on Crux Linux. I don't know anything about Crux. Haven't really had too many people ask me about Crux over the last year and a half of doing this channel. Once or twice. I don't know. I might take a look at it at some point. Let's see. Yeah, I so hate chat moving, yeah. And I use Firefox too. Firefox is not the best when viewing YouTube, but I'm not going to use Google Chrome. You know, like I have to use Google's YouTube, but I don't want to be tied to Google, so not using their browsers. Firefox does not handle YouTube, especially the chat. All that will. Yeah, how was everyone's Easter? That was Sean asking that question to the chat. My Easter was great. Had a kind of a breakfast, lunch, brunch. I had Easter brunch with some of my family. Some of the kids in the family got to hunt Easter eggs. We hid eggs in the yard, and they got to hunt for eggs. Yeah, Grayson. DT, do you know Linux can be used to make music? Yes, I did know that, Grayson. You made music back during 2016 and 2017, yeah. Why don't Linux browsers have hardware acceleration by default? That's Jose asking that. I don't know. But yeah, somebody's pointing out, Douglas is answering you. It's coming to Firefox in the future. Are anime wallpapers really that bad for rice representation? I'm serious, by the way. I don't know. I don't like anime wallpapers. Matter of fact, let's pull up some wallpapers. So you guys are not going to see this, but I've got, well, I'll show you. Nitrogen. I pulled up Nitrogen with all my wallpapers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through the wallpaper pack here for you guys. If I can figure out what screen I'm setting it to. So we just cycle through some wallpapers. Why would I put Japanese anime in place of these gorgeous wallpapers that I've got? You can't tell me that you have some Japanese anime that's going to look better than this stuff. I'm sorry, but I mean, you're smoking crack. Anyway, that's like the first 12. I've got 200 wallpapers in here, so we're not going to go through all 200. I don't even remember which one I had set. Heck, it doesn't even matter. They're all good. I'll just pick one at random. Oh, I think I was using that one at one time. All right. And somebody's going to ask, like, in about 10 seconds, hey, cool wallpapers. Why don't you push them to your GitLab or put them on Imager? Yeah, I should. I should. I need to get around to that. You guys often ask me, like, when you see screenshots of my current desktop, hey, man, can I get your wallpaper? It would make it convenient if I uploaded them somewhere. And then once again, DT, send a hello to some Ronaldo and Renato and okay, hi. You keep posting it. I can only say hello so many times. Different folks, different strokes, DT, yes. About the anime, yeah. I'm not going to make fun of you if you set anime wallpapers. But that doesn't mean I want to hang out with you either. So, DT, is there a way to pick random wallpapers with Nitrogen? Not with Nitrogen, but you can. There's a program called Variety that should be in your distro's repos. And what it does is it cycles wallpapers for you. DT, you got any plans to do anything more with the Gopher site? Yep. It took me 3 days to get to the point where I spent some time to set up that Gopher because there's no good documentation on it. But now that I kind of figured out how it works, yes, I plan on doing some stuff over on the Gopher site. Yeah, one day I will try Gentoo and a VM one day soon, says Big Pod. Yeah. It's not too difficult to get through a Gentoo install. It's tedious. It's kind of lengthy. If you can install Arch, though, you can install Gentoo. Just a few extra commands, but really the only difference is you have to wait a long time for stuff to compile. That's the difference. Yeah, Felipe, anime wallpapers is a matter of taste, yeah. Yeah, Void Linux, stuff works, but devs are like Hitler Juniors. Are the Void devs that bad? Void Linux does interest me as a project, though. I really should install it on one of my physical machines, maybe one of the laptops. And wallpapers are bloat? Yeah, but I'm not setting a solid color background. I mean, I'm already using a tiling window manager. You gotta have some kind of eye candy, right? It can't just be terminals and text, you know. You gotta have something graphical going on the screen. Alright. Alright guys, it's been about 2 hours. I'm gonna kill the stream here in a couple of minutes, so anybody got any last minute things to say? Get them in now so they can be recorded forever in YouTube history. At least they'll be recorded in the chat playback. We may not get them on camera. Yeah, Big Paw says the problem is you need to be a person who likes to follow instructions. That I'm not that. Okay. Yeah, and you're going to try to install systemd instead of OpenRC? That could be tricky. Let's see, DT. How did you get so proficient on the terminal? You're above expert level. Kudos. You just use it. It's not... You just play with it, right? It's like anything. It's like anything that may be scary, like using Vim, for example. If you've never used Vim, it's unlike any other text editor you've ever used. You just start using it. It's completely foreign. It's going to be so weird to you at first, but you use it for a few days and really use it. Don't, stick to it. Make yourself stick to it. Within a couple of weeks, you've got it. Within a month, you can't imagine using anything other than it. You just have to have that stick-to-itness, right? You just got to stick to it. Yeah, Nat says, DT, I love you. Marry me. Nat, first of all, we have to ask, are you a woman? Even if you said yes, this is the internet, I wouldn't believe you. So, no. Yeah, the Linux Nerd. This goodbye will be on YouTube forever. Alright, good evening, the Linux Nerd. Thanks for hanging out with me. Yeah, do I know any app for maintaining Arch Linux? It's okay to delete all orphaned programs. Yeah, orphaned programs are exactly that. Orphaned programs. They're not required by any other program on the system. You're okay to delete them. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing can happen from deleting orphaned programs. You can look up the pacman command to delete all the orphans off your system, and it's perfectly safe to run it. You won't break anything, assuming you type the right command. And once again, DT, what are your thoughts on the iPhone 10? I have no thought. I've never owned an iPhone. I don't know anything about them. Sorry. I don't own any Apple products. Never have. So I couldn't even begin to respond to that. I don't even know what the hell the iPhone 10 is, what it looks like, its specs. So. Yeah, Vim equals the ultimate escape room. That is true. Yeah. :Q, guys. :Q quits Vim. That's all you need to know. :Q. Yeah. Yeah, the deleted orphan program seems a bit heartless. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to delete the orphans, but really they're dragging you down. Yeah. DT, have you tried GNOME Magnifier in GNOME? I've never lived in GNOME, so I mean, I guess I could try it like in a VM in Ubuntu or something. But no, I don't know anything about GNOME Magnifier. Would you recommend Arco for YouTube channel production? What I'm in today. You could use any Linux distribution for what I do. The trick is, the one caveat, if you are an NVIDIA user, you need to make sure that distro you install supports NVENC. Not all of them support it out of the box, which then would require you to compile your own FFmpeg within NVENC support, which is a major pain. If you're on Arch-based distros, though, you're in luck. So, Which version of Budgie do you like better, Solus Budgie or Ubuntu Budgie? You know, I prefer having the panel at the bottom of the screen. So I kind of like what Solus Budgie does there. I think, though, overall, Ubuntu Budgie may be the cleaner, more polished product, but just personal preferences, I'd just move that panel to the bottom if I was using Ubuntu Budgie. And I'd get rid of the dock. I don't like using a panel and a dock, and I don't like using two panels or two docks. Put everything in one panel or one dock. That's all you need. Would sending the Orphan programs to a container be more humane? Yeah. Yeah, thanks, DT. I enjoyed the chat. I'm going to call it a night. So am I. I need to finish this beer, and like I said, I have an early day and a long day tomorrow at my real job, unfortunately. But this was fun. I was glad I got to hang out with you guys for a little while. I don't do too many of these. I don't do this kind of live stream that often. I know you guys like these things, and you guys often ask me to do these. And I need to try to fit these in more often. Alright guys, well I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream. I appreciate all you guys hanging out. There's still about 150 of you guys hanging out after 2 hours. Can I have a shout out please? Gabe. Shout out. Alright. Jonathan, have a great night, DT. Alright guys. Paul. Thanks DT. You rock. Yeah, you rock too, Paul. Actually all you guys rock. But before I go, you know who really rocks? These guys right here. This show is made possible by Ansem, Carlos, Chris, Douglas, Dylan, Leor, Rob, Robert, and Tony, producers of the show. Without them, this show wouldn't be possible. Show also wouldn't be possible without all those other names you see on the screen that support my work over on Patreon. So I want to sincerely thank each and every one of those guys. Without them, again, this wouldn't be possible. All right, guys. Peace.